So before we get started into environments and modules, I just want to make this very clear. This video is assuming that you have already installed Visual Studio Code. You have a terminal open and access to a terminal and are inside of a directory that you can work in. You already have Node.js and npm, obviously, those two packaged together. So if you install Node.js, it installs npm. So this is just assuming that you have access to all of that. So I'm going to open up this Visual Studio Code in this directory. So let's code dot. Okay, and this is what I was working on before. Okay, so and actually I'm going to go back to JavaScript. Okay, so let's use a package. Okay, so first actually let's ignore packages for a second. So this is, I'm going to call this my main.js. So this is my entrance to the file, okay, or entry point to my application. And I'm going to run npm --init y -y just to initialize my package. It just generates this package.json. It's useful for other things. So if I create a start, this will run main or node main.js. Okay. So what this is doing, if I say node, actually I'm going to make a little console.log hello, console.log hello world. Okay. If I say node main.js, this will run hello world. If you get an error by doing that, then you need to fix your npm installation. But now, because of how I have done my package.json, sorry, I keep hitting the microphone. Now my dog is coming up here. Hi, puppy. Hi, girl. All right, I need you to get... Now she's just laying on my shoes. Okay, that's adorable. Anyway, so creates this little package.json. Basically, a JSON is something that you can store data in, a little file that you can store data in with key value pairs. And it looks like an object, right? And it is. It stands for JavaScript object notation. It's used everywhere. It's funny. Anyway, so it just contains some information about the package that you just generated. Okay. And now, because I have this scripts with this start script, node main.js, which I ran up here, okay, which runs hello world. If I say npm start, it'll run node main.js, and you'll see it there. Okay, so you can see that hello world. So a little bit about imports and exports and stuff like that. Basically, it's about creating separate files, organizing your code into separate files. So let's make a function in another file called I don't know, something. I don't really care. Whoops, I'm so used to TypeScript. Okay. Okay, dog, I need you to get out. I love you, dog. Get out. I love you, but get. Come on. Out. I love that dog, but I need it to not be here. I'm sorry. Love you, girl. Okay. So, as I was saying, let's create a little function. I don't know. Let's, first off, we're just going to look at how it kind of works. So if I say console.log hello world, okay, I just want to make sure that we have, used this properly. Okay. So if I, basically the way I pull something from another file is I use this require function. Okay. Whoops. This does not recognize Node.js as my main thing. Okay. This thinks that it is currently in the DOM environment. Okay. So if I require something, /something, and I run npm start, you can see this hello world exists. If I require it multiple times, let's see what happens. Do you expect it to say console.log once or multiple times? Well, let's see. Well, it runs only once. So that's the thing with require, is it optimizes. And so if you run it once, it'll, or if you pull it multiple times, it'll only run once. So because it doesn't really need to run multiple times. It's like generating your code multiple times. So let's see what we can do with this. So I'm going to say const my function equals a function at console.log my function. Okay. In order to export this, I need to say module.exports equals my function. That's all it needs to do. Okay. And so now I'm going to require, or const my function equals require something.js. And you can do something or something.js. Either one will work. Okay. So now console.log my function. So now you can see my function exists. So let's run it. And it's going to be hello world or my function and then undefined because my function doesn't return anything. I can return hi if I want. So now my function and hi. So you can see how this could be useful because I can create a create a separate package that does, or a file that does a bunch of different things and import them and use them in a separate file. Okay. It is incredibly useful because I can now use that in multiple files and I don't have to rewrite the code in every single file that I'm using it in. Right. And it also helps me keep my file sizes smaller. You shouldn't be afraid to have large file sizes. Generally, it's not a bad thing to have really big file, or not just like large file sizes. But if they're getting like really, really, really big, where it's kind of unmanageable, then you need to take a step back. Like if it's over 1,000, even like 2,000 lines of code, like that's where you should start thinking like maybe I should start separating this out, or maybe not. Like it just depends on the situation. It can go both ways because guess what? Control F exists, so you can find whatever you need. Okay, so there are multiple ways to skin a cat. All right, so that is modules, but there are other things out there as well. Okay, so instead of JavaScript, I'm going to use TypeScript. So I'm going to tsc init, okay, or tsc init. There we go. And it is, I want target, library is node, ES6, yeah. ES 2020 is fine. Module is fine. Great. Okay. So now, if I say index.ts, I now have access to this import statement. My function from something dot something. Okay, so now in something dot ts, okay, I need to make sure that I use relative file paths. So I now have something. Webdev something.ts is not a module. Yes, it is. Okay, so I now can say export my function, or const my function equals a function. Okay, why is that happening? Cannot find name console. Yeah, that's not right. Okay, maybe npm I at types node. Maybe I need that. Really? I don't want DOM. Whatever. Oh, now it works. Okay. That's one thing that I find annoying about TypeScript. So now if I run my function, package.json is going to fail. I need ts node or index.ts, npm ts node, and then npm start. Okay, so now you can see that my function has run and is run from my function. Okay, so it's basically the same thing as the require statement, but also you can have default statements. So if I go to here, export default my thing, actually no, it doesn't really matter. I don't know. That's the default export. So if I import thing, like console.log thing, it's going to say hello from default export. Okay, so you don't need the brackets in order to pull from something as long as it's a default export. And you'll see more and more of this as you get into Node.js. And I recommend when you are writing JavaScript to not write JavaScript, to write TypeScript. We'll learn TypeScript, excuse me, because it helps you out and because it does a lot better things, or it does a lot of things better, and it's just generally a good thing. So anyway, yeah, modules, basically separating things into separate files. You have require, and you have ES6, which I don't think you can use in JavaScript. I don't remember exactly. But you can use in TypeScript. In fact, it's recommended to use in TypeScript as long as you have ES6. So, which you will. You have to like make sure it's explicitly stated in here. But if you don't use ES6, then you're doing something wrong. Anyway, that is it for modules. Basically, it's separating code into things that are more manageable and bite-sized chunks, and making it so you don't have to copy and paste code over and over again. You can just import from one file into multiple other files. So that's it.